the average Canadian household would have to spend 63% of their pre-tax income to make monthly payments on the average home, something that's mathematically impossible. Some are now having to pay $2,400 to rent a room in a townhouse, not the townhouse, a room, and the privilege of having 5 or 6 other roommates with them after house prices and housing costs have doubled under this Prime Minister. How did he spend so much to achieve such bad results?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
After 10 years of a Conservative government underinvesting in housing, if investing at all, we brought forward in 2017 a national housing strategy that has created new opportunities for millions of Canadians to get into homes. We've continued to invest in things like the Housing Accelerator that works with municipalities to create hundreds of thousands of new homes over the coming years. We're doubling housing stock, housing creation in this housing over the next 10 years with investments like the Rapid Housing Accelerator, with direct supports for home buyers, with tax-free savings accounts. There is no one silver bullet on this, but we're delivering them all.
Well, Leader of the Opposition.
He's got an accelerator. Well, I've got news for him. You can't live in an accelerator, Mr. Speaker. You have to live in a house or apartment. And under his leadership, the cost of the average 2-bedroom apartment has doubled from $1,172 to $2,205. The cost of an average mortgage payment has doubled to over $3,000. And now the share of your monthly income you have to spend to own the average home is 2/3, by far a record-smashing number. Again, how did he spend so much to achieve such horrible results for homebuyers?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Over the past 8 years, we have consistently invested in programs and supports for Canadians that have delivered many more opportunities for people, but we know there is more to do. But Canadians are free to contrast our multi-layered, broad approach on investing in housing with what the Conservative MPs got elected on in the last election, a promise to give a tax break to landlords who sold their buildings. That was the entirety of the housing plan in the last election from the Conservative Party of Canada. We will continue to have real approaches that work for Canadians.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
His main criticism against the Conservative government is that our housing programs were not expensive enough. Right? If only it had been more expensive to taxpayers, then it would have been a better program, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's true. This Prime Minister is the heavyweight champion of government spending. The problem is he keeps delivering the worst possible results. House price costs have doubled under this Prime Minister. And then they're more expensive for the taxpayers who have to fund his incompetent programs at the same time. So why doesn't instead as he stop wasting the money, start delivering more houses?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Conservative politicians still think you can cut your way to growth, because that's what they tried for 10 years under Stephen Harper and failed, and that's what they're continuing to propose now. Cuts and austerity. You can cut your way to new jobs for Canadians. You can cut your way to fighting climate change. You can cut your way to Indigenous reconciliation. Well, you can't, Mr. Speaker. And the Conservative Party continues to cling to a trickle-down austerity approach that does not work for the middle class and people working hard to join it. That's where we will stay focused, and we'll take no lessons from them.
No lessons.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Let's look at the results. Under the previous Conservative government, the average mortgage payment on the average home newly purchased was $1,400. Now, 8 years later, it's $3,200. Wow. He has delivered a 100% increase in mortgage costs, all while bringing in an $89 billion taxpayer-funded boondoggle in the housing program. So that, once again, why won't he end the government waste, get out of the way so that we can build affordable housing in this country? Government deficits are driving up interest and mortgage rates on home buyers, and government gatekeepers are preventing home construction. We rank second last for housing permit times in all of the OECD, and we have the fewest houses per capita in the G7 even though we have the most land to build on. That is the Prime Minister's record. His solution is to give tens of billions of dollars more to the same municipal gatekeepers in order to block construction again. Why doesn't he link the infrastructure dollars the feds give to the cities to the number of houses that actually get built?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, one thing we know the Leader of the Opposition is good at is picking fights, because that's exactly what he's proposing to do with municipalities. We choose instead to work collaboratively with them, to recognize the important role the municipalities across this country play in delivering housing, in accelerating the processes. That's the way to get things done. Through the pandemic, it was orders of government working together that supported Canadians. It is respect for municipalities that keeps us moving forward, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We remember well when that member was in government. The fact is there were constant fights with municipalities. We're delivering.
Leader of the Opposition.
When Canadians are forced to live in tents or spend $2,500 to rent a single room in a townhouse or stuck in their parents' basement until they're 35 years old, you better believe I'm going to fight for more housing. It'd be nice if he fought for someone other than himself and his gatekeeper friends. His solution is to build up these municipal gatekeeping bureaucracies with federal deficit finance tax dollars. That means that it will be even slower to get anything built. Why doesn't he link the number of dollars that cities get for infrastructure to the number of houses they allow to get built?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we remember well that member's approach on fighting with municipalities, fighting with experts, fighting with Elections Canada, fighting with anyone he could. And did that deliver for Canadians? Absolutely not, Mr. Speaker. Right now, he's fighting against local news for Canadians. What does he have against local Canadians, against local municipalities? The reality is we will continue to be there to work collaboratively, to build a stronger future, to invest in the kinds of things that are delivering for Canadians, while he continues to propose cuts and fights that lead nowhere.
That's right.
Well, Leader of the Opposition.
Actually, I delivered housing costs that were half of what they are right now. Those are the results. Sometimes you have to fight for the people, the common people, and rely on the common sense of the common people to get things done, Mr. Speaker. Right now, we have the biggest housing bubble in the G7, even though we have the most land per capita to build on. The solution is to incentivize municipalities to speed up permits so that we can build more homes. Why doesn't he link the number of dollars cities get for infrastructure to the number of houses they allow to get built, require every federally funded transit station have housing around it, and sell off federal buildings to build homes that people can afford?
The Right